So let me ask you something. Can hope actually turn liquid into solid ground? I mean, it sounds kind of crazy, right? But that is the big question at the heart of our story today. Can your sheer will, your determination, literally change the physical world around you? You know, the answer might just surprise you. So let's set the scene. Like a lot of good stories, this one kicks off on a completely normal, unsuspecting day. We're calling this first part a curious plunge. Picture this, a peaceful little village. And here we meet our two main characters. Two frog buddies, super tight, like brothers. You've got one who's the big, strong type, confident in his own power. And then there's his friend, who's a bit smaller, kind of thin, but he's got this fire inside him, a really determined spirit. Well, one day, their curiosity gets the better of them, as it so often does, right? They're hopping around near a farmhouse, and they spot this big old pail. And they're thinking, ooh, what's in there? So, without a second thought, they take this massive leap and plop right inside. And yeah, just like that, what started as a fun little adventure, it turns into something way more serious. That curious leap just became a fight for their lives. Turns out, the pail was almost full of fresh milk. And the walls, oh man, they were totally smooth, super slippery, and way too high to even think about jumping out. They were completely and totally trapped. And this is where we see the two friends start to go down very different paths. I mean, they've been swimming for hours, just paddling frantically. The big, strong frog, he's starting to lose it. He's looking at those impossible walls, feeling his muscles give out, and he just croaks, "It's useless. We're gonna drown." But his buddy? No way. He's not having it. He insists, "We have to keep swimming. There's always hope." Okay, so this next part, this is really the heart of the whole story. It's that moment where exhaustion and hope collide, and you have to make a choice. So the afternoon just drags on. Their little frog muscles are screaming in pain. By the time dusk rolls around, they are completely spent. And as that last bit of sun disappears, the big frog, he makes his call. He just decides it's pointless. He stops kicking and slowly sinks beneath the surface. Can you imagine? He's all alone now, in the dark, watching his best friend just go. He's absolutely heartbroken. But right there, in that awful moment of loss, something just shifts inside him. All that grief, it hardens into pure resolve. And he makes a silent promise. He tells himself, "I will keep swimming for myself and in memory of my friend." He refuses to let his friend's death mean nothing. He's gonna keep fighting. Not just for himself anymore, but for the friend he just lost. And this, my friends, is where things get, well, kind of miraculous. This is how sheer will powered an escape that seemed absolutely impossible. So, running on nothing but grief and that promise, our little frog just keeps going. He swims with this whole new purpose. He pushes past all the pain, all the exhaustion. He just kicked and kicked and kicked all night long. Just a relentless rhythm, churning up that milk. And something incredible starts to happen. All that constant movement, that endless churning, it actually starts to change the very nature of his prison. The liquid slowly begins to get thicker as the fat in the milk starts clumping together. And after hours and hours of this, a solid lump of butter forms right under him. He literally churned his liquid trap into solid ground. So, just as the sun starts to come up, he feels it, something solid under his feet. He musters up every last ounce of strength he has, gets a good footing on this little island of butter he made, and gives one final, huge leap. And he makes it! He's out. He lands on the cool grass, totally free. A survivor. But wait, the story doesn't stop there. His escape is amazing, sure. But what comes next? The lesson he takes from all this? That's the really powerful part. It's about how this whole ordeal became his legacy. Let's fast forward. It's a year later, and our little frog isn't just a survivor anymore. He's thriving. He's got his own family now. And you know what? He names his kids in honor of his friend who didn't make it. And every single night, he pulls them in close and tells them the story of their brave big uncle and of that terrible night in the farmer's pail. And the lesson he teaches them is so important. It's this. Look, life is going to throw you into some impossible spots. You're going to feel like you're drowning, like there's no way out. But as long as you keep moving, as long as you keep trying, you can actually create your own hope. You can make your own solid ground. Which really leaves us with this one powerful idea. Never stop kicking, because the milk will one day become butter. You see, sometimes the answer isn't about finding an exit. It's about having the grit and the endurance to turn your prison into your platform. So I'll leave you with this question. What's the milk in your life right now that you need to start? And really, it all boils down to this one big question. What actually happens when something incredibly powerful is born into a world that, well, just doesn't get it? Imagine a creature built for strength and courage, but from its very first breath, everything around it is the complete opposite. What then? Where does it go from there? So, let's set the scene. Our story kicks off, like a lot of great tales do, deep in the forest, with a new birth. But this one, it starts with a real tragedy. A lioness brings her cub into the world, and in that exact same moment, she's gone. And just like that, this tiny cub is completely alone. Can you just imagine that? The sheer vulnerability, the huge, silent forest just pressing in on him. He's got no one, no guide, no family, no one to even show him what he is. But then, out of nowhere, a flock of sheep stumbles upon him. And to them, what do they see? Just some lost, harmless little thing. And for the cub, who's just confused and desperate for any kind of connection, this flock, they become his new family, his entire world. Okay, so the lion cub grows up with them, but here's the crazy part. He doesn't grow up to be a lion. He grows up to be what he thinks he is, a sheep. And this right here is where the story gets really, really interesting. I mean, it really makes you think, doesn't it? Can the world around us, our environment, really change our essential nature? Can it completely overwrite who we were born to be? Well, for this young lion, for a long time, the answer was, yeah, absolutely. Just look at the difference here. It's absolutely night and day. On one hand, you've got his true nature, raw strength, a powerful roar, the heart of a king. But what did he learn? He learned to bleat. He ate grass. He was terrified of the very same things that a lion is meant to hunt. It's just wild. And this is the part that really gets me. There were no iron bars holding him back. The cage wasn't real. It was all in his head. His belief that he was just a weak sheep was way more powerful than any physical prison could ever be. But a story like this can't stay that way forever. One day, something happens that just completely shatters this illusion. A dose of reality comes literally roaring into his life. It brings up a good question, right? How do we wake up from an illusion of weakness, especially when we don't even know we're dreaming? Sometimes you just can't do it on your own. You need that external shock, that moment of confrontation to snap you out of it. So, picture this. An old, powerful lion is just patrolling his territory when he sees something that makes him stop dead in his tracks. A magnificent, strong young lion, cowering in a flock of sheep. He's so shocked, so offended, really, that he just takes off after them, not to hunt them, but to figure out what on earth is going on. So the old lion finally corners the young one, and the sheep lion is just trembling with fear. He actually cries out, "Please, just leave me alone. I'm just a poor sheep." I mean, think about that for a second. He's staring at his own reflection, his own kind, and all he sees is a monster. Okay, so this whole confrontation is building to the story's big, powerful climax. The old lion knows just talking to him isn't going to work. He has to show this young lion the truth in a way he simply cannot deny. It's a really powerful question for all of us, actually. When you feel like you've lost touch with who you really are, where do you even begin to look for that truth again? Well, this old lion, he knew exactly where to go. He literally drags the terrified young lion over to the edge of a calm river. The water is perfectly still, like a mirror. And then he gives him this simple, powerful command. Look. And for the very first time in his entire life, the young lion really sees himself. Not the sheep he's been surrounded by, but his own face, the face of a lion, the face of a king. I mean, the shock, the confusion, the revelation, it all just hits him in one massive wave. And now comes the release, right? Once the mind finally gets it, the body has to follow. A whole lifetime of being told he was something else is about to be completely shattered in a single, incredible moment. So what happens? What happens when you finally see your own strength, that power you had no idea was even there? It doesn't just come out as a whisper, right? No, it erupts. And in that instant, something just primal and deep wakes up inside him. A roar explodes from his lungs. Not a pathetic bleat, but this thundering sound that shakes the entire forest. It's the sound of his true self finally breaking free. He wasn't a sheep, he was a lion. But, this isn't really just a story about a lion, is it? It's a parable. And like all the best parables, its real power is in how we can take that lesson and apply it to our own lives. So that's the real question, isn't it? What's the lesson here for you? Because let's be honest, we've all been surrounded by herds at some point. Maybe it's a group of people, or expectations, or just our own self-doubt. All those things that tell us to be smaller, to be quieter, to be afraid. And the message here is actually pretty clear. First, you've got to break those mental chains. You have to let go of any false weakness you've bought into. Second, you have to be brave enough to leave the herd, to step away from that fearful crowd that's holding you back. And third, and this is the big one, you have to look inward. You have to find your own river and discover what you're really made of. Just let this sink in for a minute. The whole point of this story is that maybe your weakness is just a big misunderstanding. Maybe your fear is just a habit, not who you actually are. That incredible potential you have, it's waiting, right there, just under the surface. And that's the final thought I really want to leave you with today. What is your roar? What is that unique strength, that true identity, that powerful voice inside of you that's just waiting to be let out? It's time to find out. It's time to